No matter what subject we pick, we can take this quote and apply it to our lives. Because no matter what subject you pick, there's going to be something in God's Word that's going to expound it, that's going to bring it to life to you. There's going to be something that clicks in your heart, clicks in your spirit. Because if you study it enough, if you are sincere about seeking God, He's going to show you what the answer is. It might not be a path that you want to go down. But if you be obedient and you submit, as we saw in verse 17, those 8 traits are going to stick with me for the rest of my life. I will never forget those 8 traits because they are so strong. Again, if you didn't get those 8 traits that I found, they're purity, peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy, good fruit, impartial, and sincere. Without those, who are we when we define ourselves as Christians? Who are we if we don't have those traits? Peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy, full of good fruit, impartial, and sincere. You see, folks, sometimes when God takes you down a path, and it's a path that you don't want to travel, sometimes that's the best path there is. Because that's going to be from the school of hard knocks, as they say. It's going to be something that you're going to remember. It's going to be something that you're not going to dismiss very easily. Why? Because it's something that God has had you to do, to take a look at yourself before you look at others. It's going to be something that God says, this is necessary if you're going to be my servant. This is necessary if you want to understand where I want you to be. Doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's got a sin nature. Everybody's got that Adamic man in them. Others handle it better than some. But I would be willing to venture to say that there's not a person that's listening under the sound of my voice that hasn't at one time or another let go and let that Adamic nature rise. How have you dealt with it? How have you answered God's call when He says that He will judge? How have you answered that call when you know that God is standing at the door right there in front of you? How have you responded to the call when you know in your heart that was a wrong avenue to take? Whew! I don't know about you, but I'm glad God took me down this path. Because if He hadn't taken me down this path, I would still be wallowing in that anger and that bitterness and that envy and the self-absorption that I found in this little study. If it hadn't been for Pastor Caldwell being obedient to the Lord and having him pursue this, we would have still been chasing this, wouldn't we, Samuel? It's not worth it. It's not my fight. That's why the spirit man is there in the ring. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but we wrestle principalities and powers. That's where I should have released it in the first place, and I didn't. The Adamic man rose up. I let the Adamic man rise up. Folks, like the little story I told at the beginning, the WC, don't miscommunicate things. If you're going to say something that God says, thus saith the Lord, say it right. If you're going to take the time to declare and call yourself a Christian, make sure you don't do things in a subtle way that are doing your religious duty, that are making an empty show of religious devotion. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be known as a person with false religious devotion. I want to be known as a person that loves Jesus with every fiber of my being. And I want that to reflect in every situation that I go through. I want that to reflect in every word that I speak. I want that to reflect with every person that I come in contact with their life. Because God has put me there for a reason, not to tear down, but to build up. I want that to reflect in every situation that I come across, no matter what it is, good, bad, or indifferent. I want the love. I want God's grace and his mercy to reflect in my life, that other people can see Jehovah Shammah. God is there when you walk by. I want them to understand that God made a difference in me. 23 years ago now, August 3rd, 1989, is when I gave my heart to the Lord. If you would have met me then, you would not have liked me, because I was a vile person. And I find that I still am, according to God's word, because I searched to find myself as a villain. I searched to make sure that Jesus was indeed my hero. Don't let another day go by. I'm not going to be before you long. In fact, I'm done, John, if you would come with the worship team. God gave me this message to rectify just wanting to stand up and to give a shallow testimony that I find in James chapter 5, verse 16. Confess your faults one to another. I thought that was going to be my duty. I thought I was going to be done. Huh. God had a different plan. Psalms 37:23 came very much to life there. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. I never, ever call myself good. But if God can say it, I'm going to follow it. If you have ever, and I mean ever, let that Adamic nature rise up in you, and you haven't dealt with it properly, these altars are open. If you have ever wanted to stand up and do something shallow as your religious duty, and you haven't dealt with it accordingly, these altars are open.